Hey Mom, today's math lesson was more than just about solving problems on the page. It was about connecting numbers and words to the world my students live in every day. On paper, it looks simple, addition and subtraction. But in practice, these problems require far more than plugging numbers into an equation. For my students, each word problem is a puzzle with multiple layers. They first have to decode the English words, attach meaning to them, visualize the situation, and then apply the math operation. It's not just one skill, it's multiple streams of thinking converging at once. In other words, every word problem is really two lessons combined, a language lesson and a math lesson. To make the concepts easier to digest, we use something they all know very well, the Thai baht. The same currency they use when buying snacks in the canteen or picking up pencils and erasers at the school shop. Tying the problems to something real made the concepts more relatable. They've bought pencils before. They've counted coins at the canteen. They know the feel of 5 baht in their hand. And suddenly, the math wasn't abstract. It was part of their lives. They could visualize it, almost as if they were standing at the shop deciding whether they had enough money for both. That connection mattered. Instead of hesitating at the English, they leaned into the problem because the context was familiar. The currency they use every day became a bridge, linking language to logic and the classroom to the real world. It wasn't just about adding 5 plus 3. It was about imagining themselves making a purchase, making a choice. The math became practical and almost empowering. What stood out to me was how quickly their confidence grew once the problem made sense in their own terms. The task was no longer intimidating. It was achievable. They weren't just solving math problems. They were rehearsing life skills.
She has 10 baht. She spent 8. How much money, Mommy, does she get back? 2.
For me as a teacher, today was a reminder that the most effective learning often happens when lessons don't feel separate from life. By weaving in the currency they use daily, the math gained immediate meaning, and that meaning gave them motivation. They weren't just practicing equations, they were practicing life skills. How to think about money, how to make decisions with limited resources, and how to add and subtract in ways that matter to them. The perspective I gained is that teaching word problems is about more than reading comprehension and arithmetic. It's about showing students that what they're learning has real-world value. When they can see the math in their lives, in coins, in purchases, and in choices, they begin to trust the process more deeply. And when they succeed in these small, familiar contexts, they build the confidence to tackle bigger and less familiar challenges later on. So yes, today we practiced word problems, but we also practiced connecting skills. Reading to reasoning, currency to calculation, and classroom learning to real-world living. The baht wasn't just money today, it was a key to making math come alive. I did math with a koi fish and that was it for my night. Okay, love you, bye.